Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready to get our hands dirty with some practical saving strategies.
Absolutely. Let's dig into it.
Okay, so for this deep dive, we've got this pile of articles and books about saving money.
Mhm.
Really interesting stuff. And our goal today is to, give everyone some actual, actionable tips,
Right.
not just the same old generic advice.
Right. Like how to actually save money in the real world, even when it feels like everything is so expensive.
Exactly. So I was looking through everything, and one thing that really jumped out at me um, was this concept of breaking down those big, scary savings goals,
Oh, yeah. Those big numbers can definitely be intimidating.
Totally. So instead of trying to wrap your head around saving, let's say, like $10,000,
Yeah.
the idea is to break it down into smaller pieces. So maybe instead of $10,000, you think about saving, say, like $200 a week.
I love that. It makes it feel so much more manageable, right? It
Ugh.
plays on something called the goal gradient effect. Like psychologically, we're more motivated when we feel like we're making progress towards a goal.
Oh, interesting. So it's kind of like when you're running a marathon, right? Those mile markers make a huge difference.
Exactly. You get a little burst of motivation each time you hit one. And it's the same with saving. Every little bit you put away gets you closer to that big goal and keeps you going. It creates momentum.
And speaking of momentum, one of the sources also talked about automating your savings, like setting it up so it just happens automatically every month.
Oh, automation is like the holy grail of saving, honestly.
Really? It seems so simple.
It is simple, but it's incredibly powerful. It kind of takes the decision making, or should I say the temptation, out of the equation.
Like out of sight, out of mind kind of thing.
Exactly. You don't even see that money leaving your checking account, so you're less likely to miss it.
So smart. Okay, now I want to talk about those big expenses like rent or car payments. I know for me, that's where a big chunk of my money goes every month.
For sure, those can really add up.
And some of these sources suggest negotiating those costs, like actually asking your landlord for a lower rent.
Oh, yeah. It might feel a little awkward, but you'd be surprised how often it works. Do some research on comparable apartments in your area. And, come prepared to make your case, especially if you have a good track record as a tenant.
I guess it can't hurt to ask, right?
Definitely not. The worst they can say is no,
Good.
and you could potentially save hundreds of dollars a year.
Wow, that's wild. I never really thought about negotiating rent before.
Mm.
So moving on, another thing that really resonated with me was this idea of just being more mindful about spending in general.
Yes. Awareness is key.
Like really taking a moment to ask yourself those two simple questions. Do I really need this? And can I get it cheaper?
It's so easy to just swipe your card without thinking,
Yeah.
but those questions force you to pause and consider if that purchase is truly aligned with your values and your financial goals.
It's funny, I actually started doing that recently, and it's amazing how much money I've saved. Like the other day, I was about to buy a new coffee maker, and then I remembered I had a perfectly good French press tucked away in a cupboard.
It's amazing how much stuff we accumulate, right?
Totally. All right. So now we're getting into something that I think is a big hurdle for a lot of people when it comes to saving.
Uh-oh, what's that?
Debt. Specifically, high interest debt, like credit cards.
Ah, yeah. That can be a real drain on your finances.
For sure. And these sources are all about tackling that debt aggressively. But to be honest, sometimes it feels so overwhelming I don't even know where to start.
I hear you. But there are some really effective strategies out there. One popular method is the snowball method, where you focus on paying off your smallest debts first. It creates a sense of momentum and keeps you motivated.
Okay, that makes sense. Kind of like those mile markers in the marathon again, right?
Exactly. The other method is the avalanche method, where you target the debt with the highest interest rate first. This approach can save you the most money on interest charges in the long run.
Interesting. So it really comes down to figuring out what strategy works best for your situation.
Right, and for your personality. Some
Yeah.
people just really thrive on those quick wins.
I can definitely see that. So once you have a plan for dealing with debt, the sources then recommend putting together a budget.
Right, absolutely. A budget is like your roadmap to financial freedom. And one framework I saw suggested dividing your spending into three main buckets: essentials, discretionary, and savings.
Oh, I like that. Keep it simple.
Yeah, essentials are those non-negotiables like housing, groceries, utilities. Then you have your discretionary spending, which is basically your fun money, and of course your savings. This helps you see where your money is actually going and make adjustments to make sure you're taking care of your needs, enjoying life, and still working towards your financial goals.
Balance is key. Okay, now I'm really excited about this last tip, which is all about boosting your income.
Yes, more money to play with.
Exactly.
Huh.
The sources talk about side hustles, negotiating a raise, even selling things you don't need anymore. It feels like there are so many options.
There really are. Side hustles are a great way to earn extra cash and maybe even explore a passion. Maybe you love writing and could offer freelance editing services. Or maybe you're a whiz with technology and could tutor people online.
Ooh, maybe I could finally start that Etsy shop I've always dreamed of.
Go for it. And don't underestimate the power of negotiating a raise. Do your research, know your worth, and come prepared to showcase your accomplishments and contributions to your company.
I'm taking notes.
Good.
So, wow, we covered a lot of ground today. From breaking down goals to automating savings to finding creative ways to boost our income, there are so many strategies we can use to take control of our finances.
Absolutely. The key takeaway here is that saving doesn't have to be about making huge sacrifices or feeling deprived. It's about being intentional with your money and building sustainable habits that will pay off in the long run.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And as you go about your day, think about one small change you can implement right now. Maybe it's setting up that automatic transfer to your savings account or taking a closer look at your spending habits.
Every step, no matter how small, brings you closer to achieving your financial goals.
Thanks for listening, everyone. And remember, you got this.
Until next time.